Scientists have just revealed something remarkable about aging in 2025. It's not expensive treatments or miracle pills that decide how well we grow old. It's the everyday foods we put on our plate. Harvard and other top researchers agree that a handful of simple foods can literally add years of energy, clarity, and life. And today, we're counting them down, backed by real science. Aging is one of life's great inevitabilities, yet the way it unfolds has everything to do with the choices we make day after day. In 2025, scientists have made it clear that the most powerful anti-aging solutions don't come in capsules or trendy powders. They are right in front of us, in the foods we choose to eat. Harvard and other leading institutions emphasize a consistent theme. Whole, minimally processed foods shape the trajectory of our health more than anything else. What we put on our plate not only determines how long we live, but how well we live in the years that matter most. It's not about achieving immortality, but about securing energy, clarity, and strength long into older age. This understanding has brought fresh attention to the everyday foods that research keeps pointing back to, the foods that extend life and protect against disease. One of the most overlooked but scientifically validated categories is whole grains. These are staples like oats, barley, quinoa, brown rice, and teff. For years, studies have demonstrated that people who consume more whole grains tend to have lower rates of heart disease, diabetes, and premature death. Harvard researchers found that even a single serving increase of whole grains per day reduces overall mortality risk. The reason is rooted in their nutritional makeup. Unlike refined grains that have been stripped of their fiber and essential nutrients, whole grains contain the bran and germ, which are packed with antioxidants, minerals, and slow-digesting carbohydrates. This means better blood sugar control, steadier energy, and protection against inflammation. For those aiming to improve longevity without making drastic changes, swapping half of your white rice for brown or adding oats to breakfast is one of the simplest, most effective adjustments. These are foods that keep your digestive system strong, feed your microbiome, and offer protection with every bite. Closely tied to this conversation is another ancient food group that's making headlines again: legumes. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, and soy-based foods are some of the cheapest, most accessible longevity boosters you can find. Recent meta-analyses pooling hundreds of thousands of participants across multiple countries show that higher legume consumption is linked to lower all-cause mortality and reduced risk of stroke. What makes legumes unique is their combination of fiber, plant-based protein, and a broad spectrum of micronutrients. They lower cholesterol, balance blood sugar, and keep the gut microbiome thriving with diverse bacterial species that influence immunity and inflammation. In parts of the world where centenarians are common, the so-called blue zones, beans and lentils are eaten almost daily, often in simple soups and stews. 1 cup of cooked beans 5 times a week is enough to make a measurable difference in health outcomes. The beauty of legumes lies in their versatility. They can form the base of a hearty stew, a crisp salad, or a quick hummus spread. These are foods that prove longevity is not about expensive trends, but about practical, everyday nourishment. Beyond solid food, another secret of longevity may already be sitting in your kitchen cupboard. Tea, especially green and black tea, has emerged as a consistent predictor of healthier, longer lives. Large cohort studies show that people who drink 3 to 5 cups of unsweetened tea daily live longer and experience fewer cardiovascular complications. Researchers believe the polyphenols, particularly catechins in green tea, help cells resist oxidative damage and reduce pathways of inflammation that accelerate aging. What makes tea remarkable is its accessibility. It costs less than bottled drinks, delivers gentle stimulation without sugar spikes, and can be enjoyed hot or iced. Unlike fad beverages, tea carries centuries of tradition backed by modern science. In countries like Japan, where tea culture is a daily ritual, people live among the longest and healthiest lives on the planet. Making tea a habit doesn't require radical change. It's a small choice with profound long-term benefits. Moving from the teapot to the yogurt cup, fermented dairy deserves a place in the longevity discussion. While dairy often sparks debate, fermented varieties like yogurt and kefir are gaining strong scientific support. Studies in older adults suggest that regular yogurt consumption is linked to better bone density, reduced frailty, and healthier weight management. The secret is fermentation, which enriches dairy with probiotics, beneficial bacteria that support gut health, immune resilience, and reduced inflammation. A well-functioning gut microbiome is now considered one of the keys to healthy aging, and fermented foods are one of the easiest ways to support it. The key is to choose plain varieties without added sugar, then add your own fruit or spices. For those who avoid cow's milk, soy and almond-based yogurts with live cultures offer similar benefits. A daily serving of yogurt or kefir doesn't just nourish, it builds microbial diversity, which science now recognizes as essential for vitality in later years. Another food consistently tied to longer life is fatty fish, such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel. These are rich sources of omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, which reduce inflammation, protect brain function, and support cardiovascular health. Decades of research show that regular fish consumption, about 2 servings per week, is associated with longer life and lower risk of chronic diseases. What's particularly striking is the role of preparation. New findings highlight that baked or steamed fish delivers protective benefits, while fried fish loses much of its nutritional advantage and may even contribute to health risks. Omega-3 fatty acids also help preserve cognitive function, making fish not just a food for the heart, but for the mind as well. Incorporating salmon into a Sunday meal or enjoying sardines on whole grain toast midweek is more than a culinary choice. It's an investment in sharper thinking, stronger mobility, and years of healthier living. Taken together, these foods may not seem flashy, but that's the point. They're not exotic or unattainable, and they don't rely on hype. They are common, affordable, and scientifically validated. Whole grains, legumes, tea, fermented dairy, and fatty fish each contribute to longevity through different pathways, yet they share one defining quality. Consistency matters more than perfection. By weaving them into everyday meals, you slowly but steadily build a foundation for health that lasts. These foods don't just add years to your life, they add life to your years, ensuring that when you do reach the later decades, you do so with strength, clarity, and vitality intact. Among the most powerful allies in the quest for healthy aging are dark leafy greens. Spinach, kale, mustard greens, and collards are not just vegetables, they are nutrient-dense packages of longevity. These foods contain high concentrations of vitamins A, C, K, folate, magnesium, and a wide range of antioxidants that protect against cellular damage. Harvard research has linked greater leafy green consumption with reduced risks of cognitive decline and age-related diseases. The fiber they contain feeds gut health, the vitamin K supports bone strength, and the folate nourishes the nervous system. A daily handful in a salad, smoothie, or stir-fry can profoundly impact the way the body functions over time. Leafy greens also provide nitrates that help blood vessels stay flexible, supporting heart health and circulation, which in turn supports brain function. Their bitter and earthy flavors are more than just taste. They are signals of their protective compounds at work inside the body. Right alongside leafy greens, berries stand out as one of nature's most concentrated sources of protective nutrients. Blueberries, strawberries, and blackberries in particular are repeatedly associated with healthier aging and longer life expectancy. The magic lies in their anthocyanins, the pigments that give berries their vibrant colors. These compounds improve blood vessel elasticity, reduce oxidative stress, and may even slow cognitive aging. A study following thousands of participants found that people who consumed more berries lived longer and had lower risks of cardiovascular disease. What makes berries special is their versatility and accessibility. Frozen varieties retain much of their nutrient power, making them available year-round. A cup of blueberries swirled into yogurt, a handful of strawberries on oatmeal, or a bowl of mixed berries as a snack all provide daily protection. Beyond their science-backed benefits, they bring joy and sweetness to meals without relying on processed sugar, proving that health and pleasure can exist on the same plate. Another longevity cornerstone is the simple but mighty nut. Almonds, walnuts, pistachios, and cashews are calorie-dense, yet studies consistently show that people who eat an ounce of nuts daily live longer and healthier lives. The secret lies in their mix of plant-based protein, fiber, and healthy fats, especially omega-3s in walnuts. Regular nut consumption is associated with lower all-cause mortality, improved heart health, and even longer disability-free survival in older age. The fats in nuts are not the enemies once feared, but allies that reduce harmful cholesterol, protect arteries, and provide satiety that prevents overeating. The crunch of a handful of nuts can be a daily ritual that adds not just flavor, but resilience. What's striking is that the benefits remain even after accounting for body weight. Nuts do not make people heavier despite their energy density. Instead, they appear to support metabolic health in profound ways. Carrying a small pouch of mixed nuts for snacks may be one of the simplest anti-aging strategies available, requiring no preparation and no complex recipes. Few foods embody both tradition and modern science, as well as extra virgin olive oil. This golden liquid, central to the Mediterranean diet, has been the focus of dozens of studies linking it to longer life, reduced heart disease, and even lower dementia-related mortality. Harvard cohorts have shown that people who replace butter or margarine with olive oil have significantly lower risks of premature death. Its monounsaturated fats, polyphenols, and anti-inflammatory compounds make it not just a cooking oil, but a medicinal food. Olive oil protects blood vessels, lowers harmful cholesterol, and appears to shield the brain from degenerative changes. The key is to use it consistently, on salads, in cooking, or as a finishing drizzle. Choosing extra virgin varieties ensures the highest concentration of protective compounds. For those seeking practical ways to extend healthy years, simply swapping butter for olive oil is a scientifically backed choice with enormous impact. It is one of the few foods that nearly every major longevity study agrees on, making it a cornerstone of a healthy aging diet. Together, leafy greens, berries, nuts, and olive oil form a core quartet of protective foods that work synergistically to protect body and mind. Greens provide vitamins and minerals that keep bones and vessels strong. Berries deliver antioxidants that slow cellular aging. Nuts supply healthy fats and proteins that stabilize metabolism, and olive oil brings anti-inflammatory protection that shields the heart and brain. These are not rare superfoods tucked away in distant markets. They are staples you can find in any grocery store. Yet their impact is extraordinary. They do more than add years to life. They add quality to those years, ensuring that energy, mobility, and mental clarity remain intact long into older age. They are proof that longevity is built not in laboratories, but in kitchens, through the simple daily act of choosing foods that nature designed to sustain us. When you step back from the individual foods, a deeper truth emerges. It isn't one single item that carries the secret to longevity, but the pattern they create together. Scientists at Harvard and other major institutions have studied dietary patterns across decades, following hundreds of thousands of people from midlife into old age. Their conclusion is clear. The greatest predictor of aging well is not whether you eat one or two superfoods, but whether your overall diet is anchored in whole, minimally processed foods that work in harmony. The Harvard Healthy Eating Plate, a guide that emphasizes vegetables, fruits, whole grains, healthy proteins like fish, and legumes and healthy fats like olive oil, has become the blueprint for a life of vitality. People who followed this type of diet in their 40s and 50s were significantly more likely to reach their 70s in good health, free from chronic disease, disability, and cognitive decline. In other words, longevity is not about avoiding death. It is about extending the years when you feel truly alive. This dietary pattern works because it nourishes the body on multiple levels at once. Whole grains stabilize blood sugar and keep energy steady. Legumes provide protein without burdening the heart. tea, and berries supply antioxidants that neutralize cellular stress. Leafy greens deliver vitamins that preserve bones and arteries. Yogurt strengthens the microbiome. Nuts and olive oil protect the heart and brain. And fatty fish feeds the body with essential omega-3s. Each food plays its role, but together they create a symphony of protection. This balance is what separates fad diets from evidence-based nutrition. When all these elements come together on the plate, you are not just filling your stomach. You are quietly building defenses against the conditions that shorten life: heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and dementia. The result is a body that doesn't just survive into later decades, but one that thrives with strength, clarity, and joy. The power of these foods also lies in their accessibility. You don't need rare powders from remote mountains or costly supplements marketed with lofty promises. These are foods you can find in an ordinary grocery store, foods that many cultures have relied on for centuries, and foods that fit into everyday meals without complication. A breakfast of oats with yogurt and berries, a lunch of leafy greens and beans dressed with olive oil, an afternoon cup of tea, and a dinner of baked salmon with brown rice. That is not a rigid diet plan, but a simple day of eating that embodies decades of scientific wisdom. It is a pattern that anyone can adopt and adapt to their culture, preferences, and budget. Longevity is often portrayed as something exclusive, but science shows it is built on ordinary foods prepared with care and eaten consistently. Just as important as what these foods provide is what they replace. Every serving of whole grains is a serving not spent on refined flour. Every drizzle of olive oil replaces butter or processed oils. Every handful of nuts keeps sugar-laden snacks at bay. These substitutions compound over years, protecting the body not only through nourishment, but through the absence of harm. This quiet, consistent pattern is why populations that embrace whole, plant-forward diets with healthy fats and moderate fish intake continue to live longer and healthier lives. It is not about perfection. It is about consistency, the daily act of choosing foods that protect instead of foods that degrade. Even small changes, like drinking tea instead of soda or adding a handful of berries to breakfast, build resilience when repeated across decades. Science cannot promise immortality, but it can reveal probabilities. The probability that eating this way adds years of energy to your life is high. The probability that it reduces your risk of the major killers of aging, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, dementia, is backed by strong data. What makes this inspiring rather than intimidating is that the path is not hidden or complicated. It is visible on your plate. The more your meals reflect this pattern, the greater your odds of stepping into old age, not with frailty, but with strength, confidence, and clarity of mind. This is not just about living longer. It is about living better in the years that matter most. At the end of the day, food is more than fuel. It is memory, culture, pleasure, and identity. Choosing longevity foods is not about deprivation, but about abundance. The abundance of vibrant vegetables, the sweetness of berries, the comfort of warm grains, the richness of nuts, the satisfaction of fish, and the soul-soothing ritual of tea. These are not sacrifices. They are gifts you can give yourself every day. In 2025, as research grows clearer and more refined, the message is the same as it has always been in the healthiest corners of the world. Eat real food, mostly plants with room for healthy fats and proteins, and your future self will thank you. The science says it. Generations of long-lived people have lived it. Now it is your turn to put it on your plate.